Hi, my name is Eitan Kaplansky, and today we'll be focusing on Perek Kuftet Vav, the 115th Perek of Tehillim. This learning will be Leilu Nishmat, Sarah Rivka, Badharav Nachum Mindel, Sarah Bam Drach. Today we'll discuss the main theme of this Mizmor, and then look at different opinions regarding its historical context. This Mizmor, Perek Kuftet Vav, which should be familiar to everyone as the third Perek of Hallel, describes at great length the contrast between Hashem's power and ability on the one hand, and the utter uselessness and worthlessness of idols and other forms of Avodah Zarah on the other. On the one hand, we see in Pasuk Gimel, describing Hashem, it says, Ve'elokeinu b'shamayim, kol asher chafetz asa, and Hashem is in the heavens, and He does all that He wants. But immediately following that pasuk, we have a detailed description of the senselessness of idol worship. Beginning in Perek, in pasuk Daled, and all the way until the end of pasuk Chet, it describes the uselessness of idols. To quote some of it, it says, Pe lahem velo yidaberu, einayin lahem velo yirau. They have a mouth, but they cannot speak. They have eyes, but they cannot see. It goes on to say, Oznaim lahem velo yishmau, af lahem velo yirichun. They have ears, but they cannot hear. They have a nose, but they cannot smell. And so on and so forth. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch says that the reason that this Mizmor goes to these great lengths and describes in a almost poetic manner the uselessness of these idols, despite their physical attributes, is that Hashem, on the one hand, is not seen. We cannot point to Hashem and say where He is, but His actions are clearly evident and seen. But all forms of Avodah Zarah, on the other hand, and especially idols, are clearly seen. And that's the reason why this Mizmor goes to great lengths to describe their physical attributes. However, and despite that, their actions are non-existent, and they have no real impact on this world. This explains the Mizmor's repetition and detailed account of the idol's utter lack of functionality. Now, regarding the historical background of this Mizmor, there are many opinions as to who exactly wrote this Mizmor and at what time in the history of Bnei Israel this Mizmor came to be. There is a very long machloket in Masechet Psachim, Daf Kuftet Zayin Amud Aleph, regarding this very question, and there are a long list of opinions. It says Tanu Rabbanan, Halel Zeh Mi Amro. So it's discussing this very parak of Lo Lanu, and there are a whole list of opinions. It starts with Rabbi Eliezer, who says that Moshe and Bnei Israel said it as they exited Kriyat Yamsuf, and they were still worried that Paro and the rest of the Egyptians would be able to chase after them. It says Him Amru Lo Lanu Hashem Lo Lanu, and then it says Meshiva Ruach HaKodesh Hashem answered them, Ve'amra lahen, Lemani Aseh. Said, I will in fact do it for my own sake. Just as Pasuk Aleph says, Lo Lanu Hashem Lo Lanu, you should not do it for us, Ki leshimcha ten kavod, al chasdecha ve'al amitecha. Do it for your name, give honor to your name, for your chesed, for your compassion, al amitecha, and for your truth. However, this opinion of Rabbi Eliezer is not immediately accepted, and there's another opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Yoshua v'Yisrael amru b'shah she'amdu alehen malchei Canaan. So Rabbi Yehuda says that it was in fact recited by Yoshua right before going to war against the kings of Canaan upon entering Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Eliezer Amodai then says that it was actually Dvorah and Barak who said it when they were about to go to war against Sisera, and again in both of these stories, Ruach HaKodesh then answered them and said that in fact your tefillot will be answered and Hashem will save you. Yet another opinion, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says that it was actually Chizkiyahu at the time of the war against Sancheriv. Rabbi Akiva says that it was Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah at the time when they were about to be thrown in to the furnace in the time of Nebuchadnezzar. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says that it was in fact Mordechai and Esther right when Haman's decree was publicized. And then the final opinion, and actually possibly the most interesting, which actually brings all these opinions together. It says, "V'chachamim omrim, nevi'im shebenehen tiknu lahem Yisrael, shiu omrim oto al kol perek v'perek, ve'al kol tzara v'tzara, shelo tavo alehem liYisrael, v'kshenigalin omrim oto al geulatan." So the most widespread opinion of the Chachamim was that all of the Nevi'im together, from the time of Moshe all the way to the time of Mordechai and Esther, together established this Mizmor and decided that any time when hard times befall Bnei Israel and there's a time of hardship, they should recite this perek, and then again when they're saved, they should say it again when Hashem indeed saves them. Now, I believe that the first lesson from this machloket is that we should really look to the common denominator throughout all of these different opinions, and that this mizmor everyone agrees that this mizmor was said during the time of distress. Again, it could be at the time of Kriyat Yam Suf, it could be at the time of Purim, it could be any time in between. However, it was always at a time of distress for Bnei Israel. Therefore, this is definitely a fitting mizmor to be learning about today, the day before Shiva Asar B'Tammuz and the beginning of the 3 weeks. This, as we're beginning to commemorate yet another time during the Jewish calendar in which we cry out to Hashem and ask Him to save us. Just like in all the other historical instances brought in the Gemara in which Bnei Israel cried out to Hashem during times of hardship. I believe that a second lesson which we can learn, again goes back to the first pasuk of this Mizmor, Lo lanu Hashem lo lanu, that Hashem shouldn't save us for our sake, ki l'shimcha ten kavod, it should be done for Hashem's sake. The Radak says that this Mizmor, what we're asking for in this Mizmor, is that just like we're saying to Hashem, just like you delivered miracles in the past, and we referred to these in yesterday's Perek, in B'tzei Yisrael Mitzrayim, in which we thank Hashem in great detail for Kriyat Yam Suf and the rest of the miracles that happened at the time of Yetziat Mitzrayim. We ask that Hashem continue to do so for His own name's sake, even though we're not worthy. Rav Shimshon David Pinkus says that it's an amazing attribute when a person is in a time of personal hardship, but still puts himself on the side and dedicates his efforts to the Klal, or to Hashem. Rav Chaim Volozhin says in Nefesh HaChaim that this is the reason that the Haftorah on Rosh Hashanah is Tfilat Chana, the story of Chana when she davens to Hashem that she should have children. On Rosh Hashanah, even though we're in the middle of a process, a month-long, a 40-day-long process of doing tshuva, focusing on improving ourselves and asking for a happy and healthy new year, we are expected to put those wishes aside and focus on the coronation of Hashem and accepting Ol Malchut Shamayim yet again. It would make sense that on Rosh Hashanah, at the very beginning of Aseret Yemei Tshuva, we would say Slichot, we would be doing Vidui, and we would be focusing on ourselves. However, we all know that we're supposed to put those personal requests aside. We don't say Vidui, we don't say Tachanun, we don't say Slichot, and focus on Hashem. And one of the, whether it's one of the most emotional points of the tefillah of Rosh Hashanah is Vayitnu lecha keter melucha. We say that we're again going to give Hashem the crown so He can continue to rule over us. So then why is Tfilat Chana, the story of Chana, brought as the Haftarah on the first day of Rosh Hashanah? Chana was obviously extremely distressed that she had no children. She is described as being a marat nefesh. She displayed some bitterness and a measure of chutzpah towards Hashem. She was extremely sad over her state. Rav Chaim Volozhin says that even though she was bitter and distressed with her own sadness, still in her tefillot, she was focusing on being able to have children in order to serve Hashem. That everyone should still be, like the language of this perek, Lo lanu Hashem, lo lanu, ki l'shimcha ten kavod. And that's why even on Rosh Hashanah, which is right in the middle and is besides Yom Kippur, is one of the peaks of the process of doing tshuva that we go through each and every year, we still need to remember to be able to put our own personal hardships aside and focus on the klal, on the tzibur, and mainly on Hashem and on Hashem's connection with Bnei Israel. On that note, it is really a huge zchut to be able to take part in this project, Shema B'Kolah, which was created in that same spirit. While the extended Dratch and Lamb families could have simply focused on Sarah's suffering and how to best deal with it on a personal level and on a family level, they also decided to initiate this amazing project, which is providing so many people an opportunity to learn Tehillim like they never have before. I unfortunately never had the chance to meet Sarah, but from what I've heard, this project and an emphasis on serving the Klal is an absolutely amazing and appropriate tribute to her, and I'm sure that I know that she was extremely touched by it, and I'm sure she still would be. So just a huge yashar koach to everyone who has taken part both in the teaching of the Prakim of Tehillim as well as the learning. Thank you very much.